at one point, yay, we hear, and this is all you. We hear, Jesus is king. We hear this, but that's all you. Then there's sometimes you just want to say, man, not fuck it, but you just want to say, man, this is what I'm feeling right now. Are you in that space where you're comfortable enough to say, this is where I am right now? I'm still a man of God. Jesus still is king, but this is vultures right now. This is where I am.
It is, but I have my issues with Jesus. There's a lot of stuff I went through that I prayed and I didn't see Jesus show up. So I had to put my experience in this world, my experience with my children, my experience with other people, my experience with my account, my experience with my brand, and my experience with the level of music that I was dealing with in my own hands. Like a lot of times I just feel like in our society in America, people, Christians, we're depend on Jesus so much that we won't put the word in ourselves. And the main thing that really that I don't rock with is like, it's just always like, I'm gonna pray for you. And it's just like, you can actually physically do something yourself too, more than just pray. And we're so in this mentality that's all that needs to happen, but we ain't praying our way out of prison. We ain't praying our way out of the abortion clinics. We ain't praying our way to get our land back that was always ours after gentrification, after the Harlem Renaissance and Black Wall Street was burned to the ground. Them prayers ain't working. We have to apply actual physical building partnerships, and it don't start unless we could really be real with each other and say, this is what I did, this is what I did. Like, I mean, look at this. I know I'm not going to third rail your interview, but look at the power of what happened when me and Kyrie was on the same page. See, that's what's scary. But what they do is they put us each in a silo and say, your grandmother going to lose her crib, and this going to, you know how many threats we've been dealt with? And I didn't pray my way through them threats either. I had to get up and do it myself. I had so much to do, I ain't had time to pray.
Challenges in the last couple of years myself, and ultimately, I believe that suffering leads to salvation. We have to somehow accept and not deny, but feel our suffering, and then we make one of two decisions. We either decide to go through the gate of resentment, which leads to vengeance, which leads to self-harm, which leads to harm to others, or we go through the gate of forgiveness, which leads to grace. Just as Christ did on the cross, he suffered terribly, and he was broken by it, to look upon the people who were causing that suffering, or the situation that was causing that suffering, with compassion and with forgiveness. And that's what opens the gates of heaven for all.
Amen. Amen. So what are y'all's thoughts on that? I mean, Kanye West's viewpoint and Jim Carrey's viewpoint. See, Julie said, I, me, not God's will, but Kanye's. Hi. Exactly. And he's talking about how, Jesus didn't show up for me. And because Jesus didn't show up for him, because he had to go through something, because God allowed him to go through something, I think it's almost like Kanye's faith was in what God was doing for him and not really in him. His foundation was not built on his relationship with Jesus. The foundation was built on what Jesus could do for him. And when Jesus could not do what he wanted him to do, or Jesus did not do what he wanted him to do, what did he do? I'm out of here. I'm gone. I got to do it myself. So, I mean, there was some truth to what he was saying about the fact that we can't just pray and not do nothing. That's true. Like we can't just pray. We got to put our faith into action. Absolutely. We have to put our faith and move into action. But to say that I'm going to stop praying and do it myself, that's going too far, because now you're trying to become your own God. Now you're saying, I don't need God. I can do this myself. Because Jesus didn't show up and do what I wanted him to do, Jesus ain't good. God ain't good, basically. You know, if you are claiming that Jesus is king, you were so bold enough. You was bold enough to make an album that said Jesus is king. But when it came down to when you didn't get your way, Jesus was no longer king. To say Jesus is king is to say Jesus, God is in control of my life. So whether I get what I want, I'm praying for or not, I'm still gonna follow him. He's still the king. I'm still gonna follow him and turn to him. Amen. Like you can't say one hand Jesus is king, and as soon as Jesus don't do what you want him to do, oh, he let me down. And if you look into his eyes, if you look into Kanye West's eyes, I don't know if you can see it clear enough. But when you look into his eyes, you look at his face, you can see just this darkness over him, you know. And I think in another interview, he was talking about how he's God, how I'm God, I'm in control of my fate, not no God in the sky. Like there's just like I said, the foundation of his faith, I believe, was not rooted in his faith in Jesus.